Hello? Hello? Ooh, hello? What? Can you guys hear me now? Okay. Oh, I've been talking this whole time and then sorry. Okay, let me actually double check. I want to make sure this time you guys can hear me. This is weird, but hopefully this time it's working. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining my Twitter, my live stream, and I was literally talking about my concerns about the market. Working. Hello everyone. Okay, now I think like you guys can hear me. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, and I continue to chat about the market for the last 16 minutes without realizing, okay, my microphone is not working. So, okay, let me go back to what I was sharing and then just like kick off the live stream in a little bit, right? So mainly I was sharing about the recent market sentiments of like what's going on in the current market right now. Because we all know that the Iran war has been Iran like US war plus Israel has been ongoing for more than 10 days so far. And we also see that hmm, where is it? The crude oil price, we see a significant jump from like March 26th to like at the price point of 90 to almost 120 on March 9th. And that's almost like a 33% increase. And then we also see a gap like between 90 and 100, which interestingly, like March 12th, 6 days later, we are feeling that gap right now and starting to like slowly pave up the. At least this is the trend what I'm seeing, right? And basically, I think there are many ways to interpret the current situation. Um, but I think the reality, if we look at this like purely from economic models, right, supply and demand models, the blockage of Strait of Hormuz, right now, like if you take a look at all the economic reports, the news that's available on the market, has impacted around like two. Um, let me pull out the IEA report. Give me 1 second. IEA. Okay, so I'm just pulling out more, right? So yesterday, I think it's also like around the similar time during the morning time. Uh, the IEA announced that uh, the US and its allies is will be releasing like 400 million barrels of crude oil reserve, and then today they increased the number from 400 to 572 million. But the reality is that like the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz itself is like reducing the supply of crude oil daily supply of it like 20 million. So even if you are releasing 572 million barrels, that gonna only last you approximately 30 days maximum, right? And then this is given the condition that, oh, okay, whatever you are releasing is already accessible. On the other side, is like we need to remember that for all the oil reserves, and each country they will have their own oil reserve, and that's how they join the IEA, right? They have a certain, I guess, standard or requirement to maintain for you to be able to continue belong to IEA. Second, but like the US, Europe, or Asia, like Japan and South Korea, the oil reserve is all at different standards. Some, for example, like the oil that you're gonna get from Middle East is like very dense, versus like for the oil reserve you have from Europe is like production level. I mean, I'm not a like the oil expert across the countries, but I'm just saying like this is like usually you are facing different oil reserve standards from different countries. It's not like, okay, once you pump it out of the oil reserve, those 100% of those reserves can be put into production in day one. Like it all requires like additional processing, and pumping it from the reserve also gonna take a little bit of time. And even if like everything is put into production, we approximately have probably 30 days with a shortage. And I also see people say, oh, so what about like new source of energy or electricity? I mean, yes, many or majority of the countries that in the world are pushing, I guess, the electronic cars, or even like trying to figure out the new energy resource for airplane or for like sea shipments, right? For cargos. But if you really check the most recent development for those like new energy resources, new fuel sources, it's still way more expensive. First of all, it's still way more expensive than the crude oil. Second is those kind of like fuel also require special engines. That means like when the airplane or the ships, they want to use those like new fuel, new kinds of fuel, they need to replace their engines. So the reality is like you can produce a lot of those new fuel sources, but you without enough like ships or airplanes using them, it's also like not going to help the situation in the short term. And let's just like plot what gonna happen if like the oil price continue to increase. It will be really really bad for our daily life, because you may think, okay, especially for people who are in New York, right? Most of people don't drive, because they will think, oh, if I don't drive, like then the oil price increase will not impact me. That's not true, because you need to think of this from like an international trade lens, right? For all of the goods, right, that we are using in daily life, or the foods we're consuming, like we have imports and exports. And no matter you want to do imports and exports, like across the different borders, like maybe you want the rice from China, you want tea from China, but then you want some other food from other different countries, right? Then all those like exchange of goods across different borders is dependent on either like sea transportation or from airplane transportation. And then those are heavily dependent on the supply of crude oil. So if the crude oil price increase significantly, then that means like the transportation of all the daily goods, no matter the cameras or the no matter the cameras or the laptop or the food you're eating every day, it's gonna become more expensive. So essentially, it's gonna get to a point where like everything is becoming more expensive, and in economic terms, that's called inflation. And the widespread inflation is bad news for everyone else. And then at that time, the Fed gonna either they will face like different choices, right? Either they need to like increase the interest rate to combat the inflation, or if they decide not to do anything, or if they decide to say, okay, in order to have more liquidity in this market, and in order to have like more money for homeland security, they're gonna print more money, and then they're gonna like lower the interest rate, then inflation just gonna go crazy and crazier. So it's a very tough situation, and I think there's only very limited thing you can do from Fed's perspective or from the economic policy perspective, because this is a for oil right now we are facing a real like supply and demand situation, and maybe in the short term you can use like different instruments or using traders or market participants' emotions to kind of like control the price fluctuation a little bit. But in the long run, it fundamentally it will always come back to, okay, the actual supply and demand of the crude oil. And if you guys are interested in like what happened historically, because I think like for all those crises that, or for all the problems, no matter war, from like economic war perspective or the physical war perspective, historically, it all happened. Maybe not at the exact magnitude, but the mode of how it happened and then the progress of how it happens is all very similar. And then thanks to our access to the diversified basket of tool of AI, you can literally type in, hey, can you give me a list of wars that happened historically that also impacted the Strait of Hormuz or that impacted the oil transportation around the Middle East area? And then you will see like what exactly happens. You will see the Yom Kippur War. You will see the Iran and Iraq War, which US also like stepped in eventually. You will see many more examples. And then maybe it will be hard for you to find like daily data before 1980s for crude oil price, but I also recommend you guys to check this, right? You can see the crude oil price like from the website, which is like the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. It's called FRED, and then you can even download the daily data if you wanted to. I mean, there are a couple ones you can try to download the data, but it will be pretty clear. The live stream of my current live stream, the purpose of it is not like suggesting you to buy or sell crude oil. It's more I want to point this out so that we can pay attention to, oh, okay, there's actually a problem that's ongoing. There's an issue that's a very like imminent issue that's everyone is like paying attention in the market. And if we really look at the if we really look at the oh, actually let me just like tweet it because okay. Let me send a tweet. Is it like 16 minutes or 17 minutes? Anyways, okay, I would do it like probably after the live stream to figure out the exact timeline for this. Okay, and then if I go back to like what I was talking about, right, regarding okay, when we're gonna see a ceasefire between US and Iran. I mean, I don't think anyone knows because 2 days ago, I literally remember Trump was like speaking about his like midterm election and he gave his talk and he says, "Oh, we are pretty much down at Iran," right? And then the market was taking that as a signal of okay, there will be a ceasefire. And then yesterday, and then today or yesterday, Trump also give talks about, oh, we have won so much, da da da. Like then market is still like pricing say, oh, we're gonna end this war soon. But from Iran side, they are saying, oh, they are laying more mines on the boat. They're also saying that, oh, okay, I don't think it's your choice to say when they're gonna end the war. It's like when they wanna stop the war, and then they realize like that controlling or blocking the Strait of Hormuz is effectively increasing the oil price, and thus like giving them a little bit more power in the situation, so that they start to send their demands. Say, oh, they want this amount of money. They want this. They want US to out of US base or military base to be out of like Middle East, da da da, ABC, basically like different conditions, right, for ceasefire. Uh, and then going forward, I think like March 16 to 18, there will be also like a Fed meeting where they will be announcing like the latest data as well as to talk about like what's the upcoming like interest rate decisions. Will there be a decrease of interest rate or where there be now? It to be honest, it's a pretty like tough situation for US right now because first of all like it's almost impossible for US to say, oh, we're gonna withdraw all the military from the Middle East. That just like basically telling the world that okay, US is losing all the power in Middle East and says the dominance in oil pricing, right? But if US continues to engage in the war, it's a lot of more causality, and there's no short-term instant way to actually like get to a point where like okay the shipment across through the Strait of Hormuz is gonna be smooth. Like I think like most of the ships companies or even the insurance companies, they are not willing to take the risk. Like in fact, like the majority of those like London insurance companies, they already said they are not going to insure, right? They paused the insurance policy several days ago. And if you are really if you guys are really like monitoring the top news, or if you have friends that they've seen Dubai, I mean, I chatted with them like 2 days ago. They say like, oh, they are just waiting for flights, say 10 days from now to be out of Dubai. Mm. Mm, to be honest, I don't think anyone can give you like very accurate information on like how this war is evolving because this is at a scale where all the different countries they are trying to estimate like what their political costs are, what their resources are, and they also have imminent problems that they need to solve. Especially I think in Asia, right? China, Japan, South Korea, India will all face a very severe like shortage of oil supply, but the demand is still the same. So that's the number one problem need to be tackled, right? And second is like the changing of the Middle East situation is also like a rebalance of the world order across the board. So mm, so the signaling of this war is really strong. And you can already see the sentiment on social media, right? At the very beginning of the war, that like people don't understand why there was a war between Iran and US, and why US started to fight Iran, right? And then after that, then we start to hear reasons. Okay, basically, White House is saying, "Hey, if US did not fire or did not start the war with Iran, then Iran will attack US." That's the reason, like we have been given so far, right? And then, to be honest, like at this point, I think it doesn't really make sense to it. We still need to take a look at all the news, but it does not make sense to get our emotions impacted by all those different news or whatever leaders are saying. In fact, like I think what I would trust is like if there's a ceasefire, I want to see the official documentation, right? They say, oh, this is the when the ceasefire gonna take place. Those are all the conditions, and it's signed by both parties, or it's kind of like mitigated by some neutral parties. Uh, but then that gets to the question is the one more concern is like historically speaking, even if like two countries or three countries they can get a ceasefire agreement, say today or tomorrow, but maybe 1 week later or 2 weeks later, the war starts again. And this is a very common case for the wars that happen in the Middle East regions. So how can people build the confidence, or how can people build the security that oh, this wouldn't happen again? Honestly speaking, I don't know the answer of this question. I'm just like pointing out all the probability out there. And to be honest, like if any of you guys, like my audience, you guys want to make your financial decisions, your investment decisions based on the current situation, then that I strongly suggest you to take all the different factors into consideration, and then things are progressing in a very dynamic way. Um, and as my tweet wrote 2 or 3 days ago, we will see a lot of volatility in the crude oil price in the upcoming 2 weeks. But my personal bet is that like we gonna see a permanent increase, like a permanent level up of the crude oil price after this, right? When I say after this, I'm not saying because I don't know when the war gonna end. I'm just saying after this event, right? Maybe there will be ongoing war. Maybe once we get a ceasefire, things gonna become better. That part I don't know, but what I can see is like if the world order is changing because of this significant event, then the increase, the level up, the price fall of the crude oil is brought up, and then all the insurance companies or the shipments will be repriced after like we have a short-term conclusion for this event. And it also takes weeks for the insurance companies to reprice the risks, the shipment risks. So I'm not too optimistic to be honest for this. Uh, and in terms of what can we do, I think this is also a question like above my pay grade, to be honest. But me personally, I have like reduced. I've sold a couple of stocks in the U.S. stock market, because when the oil price increase significantly, they're gonna suppress every single asset pricing in this world. And I guess like in the short term, in the very short term, I'm talking about like the next like couple of weeks, right? I'm willing to give up the potential upside of the U.S. stock market to protect myself from catastrophic events. Of course, like maybe like next week, right, March 18th, the Fed gonna say, oh, don't worry guys, we're gonna print money, we're gonna decrease the interest rate so that there's like ample liquidity in the market, and then maybe we'll see a rally in the stock market. I mean, I'm fine. I'm just like worried about the overall like market crash. So I would rather like maybe I will hold some cash or hold some like short-term bonds, just like to prevent for the downside. But this is not a financial advice, just like how I think about the market. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it, like what I want to share from the current situation perspective. Like I will be sharing more tomorrow morning together with my like co-host for the Guardians Echo. We will do me and Alvin, we do our Guardians Echo live stream every Tuesday and Thursday at like 10 a.m. Eastern time, and one is like in Mandarin, the other one is in English. The Thursday one, which was supposed to happen today, but we move it to tomorrow, is usually in English. So feel free to join like our live stream. We usually share our thoughts on the market as well as AI. Unfortunately, like right now, all the headlines are occupied by the ongoing war situation. Let me continue to check. Okay, so today they say they will be 100. Yes. How much oil reserve do we have? That's my question. Seriously, to be tapped into the current situation. And I'm actually very surprised. I don't know if anyone else is like feeling the same way, right? Like if when I look at all the videos that's sent by the official account of White House, I feel at first I was like, oh wow, this is really a video coming from the official White House account. But then now, like after they have sent, tens or 20 of those, I'm like, okay, I guess I have seen you guys have like sent so many of those videos, but it's still pretty shocking because if you it's basically they have like make memes or make those cartoonized videos to talk about defeated or talk about the war situation. Mm, it's very hard to imagine. Maybe like I'm just very old school. Like it's just hard to imagine this happens in 2026. And me personally, I like even though I know like people are seeking entertainment all the time, but this is like humanity. This is war situation. I don't know if this is appropriate, but who am I to say anything? Like it's just very shocking. Oh, I see some of my friends also ping me like about the live stream being muted. Okay, I think we have probably I want to chat with you guys for like 10 more minutes. So let me think if there's anything light that we can talk about, right? While I was like going through the Twitter and then look at this, like I cannot, it's just insane. Like so usually people gonna say, oh, you don't have a license or you can't really give financial advice to people, right? To retail users. But then look at all those like big banks. They were like, oh, JP Morgan says go long energy stock, short the market until the Strait of Hormuz reopens. And then also Mr. President Trump, he also said that like, oh, increasing oil price is good for US. Like US earn more money. Yes. I mean, if you want to say, oh, from a net exporting perspective, yeah, the net export of US of the oil is positive, but that doesn't mean like the US economy gonna benefit from that, right? Because you you are not just exporting oil, you're also importing all those other goods, right? This is not the comprehensive lens. If you're talking about okay, the profit of all those like oil companies that's based in the US, yeah, maybe they're gonna profit a lot during this like oil price. But what about all those other like small businesses that they gonna suffer so much because of the surge of all the goods, right? And then all the surge of the price of the goods gonna be passed on to the retail users. And don't forget, AI has made a lot of people lost their job. So how people gonna cover their daily costs? How they gonna cover the increasing daily costs? I just cannot imagine. And you can already see that like Polymarket and Kaoshi, they open up those stores where all people can line up and like get free goods. Is this the society that we are going towards going forward for the next like 1 to 2 years, 3 to 4 years? That's just like people who lost job gonna just line up and get the free goods. It seems like very daunting to me in a sense. How long can we do this? And then how can people find the meaning of life with that kind of life? with that kind of like social condition. And I'm not, I do not believe in UBI at all. Maybe it will exist, but I think it will be very detrimental to the society. Those are all very like personal takes. So feel free to share your thoughts. Let me check a bit more on the news. It's just insane. Like you guys can also see that like most of the founders or like influential KOLs are not commenting on the current situation at all. I mean, yeah, because it's very complicated. Like it's very political oriented, but not saying things, not commenting on it. Not a lot of people commenting on it already suggest how complicated and severe the current situation is. And I think like another thing I would say is like I feel very alerted whenever I go onto the street or into the subway because I personally like I do hear more sirens coming through in New York City during the last several days. I don't know if it's like I'm super alerted or if it's like truly happening. So I hope like everyone can stay safe. Don't go anywhere like that's super crowded. Um, and take a look at your positions, right? Maybe this is a time for you to rethink about like how you want to allocate your funds right now. We are at a very high tension point. Anyways, thank you guys for joining my live stream today. I hope you guys are having a good Thursday afternoon, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. Same place, Twitter. See you guys soon. Bye.